Canadian champions are moving on.
Tremendous performance from Vancouver tonight. A rotated roster. Guys stepped up. Ocampo, a massive night. And then your big money forward, Brian White, comes in and scores a goal to send you through to the next round.
And they do it without their captain, Ryan Gaulds. Their vice captain, their second most, their 1A, their 1B. Brian White delivers the Vancouver Whitecaps to the quarterfinals. They will play the winner of Pumas and Alajuelense.
Wow! History is made. The Vancouver Whitecaps go down to Mexico, a place that's been an absolute nightmare for Canadian club sides, and beats Monterrey on aggregate. Well, away goals. It's 2-2 on the night, 3-3 on aggregate, 2 away goals. Good enough to see the Whitecaps through to the quarterfinals of the Concacaf Champions Cup. Gareth Wheeler alongside Jordan Wilson. Outstanding job by both Adam Jenkins and John Conway on the call. It's history because only one other time a Canadian side has gone on to go down to Mexico and beat, let me rephrase this, and beat a Mexican side on home soil. That was Toronto FC, but they didn't win the tie on aggregate.
Yeah.
The fact that they went down here and end up pulling away from a Mexican team on the away leg here, it's one of the biggest wins in Vancouver Whitecaps history. History is made by the Whitecaps. They've never been able to go on and do this before and go on to a quarterfinal round of this CONCACAF competition. Just outstanding stuff. A draw in the night, but really this feels like a win.
Yeah, because of the fight and heart that this team displayed. There's something that needs to be said as well about Jesper Sørensen getting this team, and they haven't really been together for more than like 2 months. But also when you think about it, competitive matches over the last 25 days, we'll say. But how are they growing into matches the way that they are, Wheels? First half, they kind of feel the temperature out, and they did this last week as well. But then the second half, it seems like they have more legs. It seems like they have a 12th man on the pitch. They're first to the ball. They're hunting together. There's so much belief. I think that's what's the real victory tonight. Of course, you can talk about the fact that you scored and you got back into the game. But the way that they're favored to be the team to go out and score the next goal and to be on top of the game, I think that's what they should be most impressed about.
Let's also put this into context here. No Ryan Gauld, no Sam Adekubi, Jaden Nelson's out through injury, Sabi hasn't even played, and they start the game with Brian White on the bench.
Yes.
Concede 4 minutes in and have the character to completely, let's be honest here, they completely outplayed Monterrey from that moment forward. This group of young players have so much to be proud of, and how the man wearing tan, Jesper Sørensen, has stepped in their 7th game in 21 days, and to come out with that kind of performance, that's a statement performance by the Vancouver Whitecaps here tonight.
It truly is. They stuck together. You can even see there are always tell signs with the club. You saw when Brian White, towards the end of the game, he gets bodied out of bounds. 4, 5, 6 Whitecaps players on the bench, they get up, want to protect their big dog. Like this group, yeah, there's been a lot of travel. You talked about the over 14,000 kilometers that they've done, but they're solidified. They're together. And you saw it. A team that was fragmented could not beat this Monterrey side tonight. They would have capitulated. They would have fell to the wayside.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're working together and they believe they can do it, that's why they're moving on to the next round.
The work ethic, second to none. Your Volkswagen moment of the match, it came in the 78th minute. Brian White came on in the 58th. 20 minutes later, he gets a goal. This was a theme. Vancouver was so intelligent in their press. We documented it at halftime, the way they hunt. Look at Kubas here, winning that ball. Says, get out of my way, Ali Ahmed. Gets a deflection, fortuitous. But Brian White, right place, right time. It's the story of his Whitecaps career.
Truly, just being in that area, the fox in the box, but being the guy that wants to go and make the difference. For me, it's not even so much this goal. Obviously, this is the change maker, but the fact that a minute into the match, Wheels, he loses the ball, but he's running and pressing and putting his body about and making sure he's doing all the little things that could take his team to the next level, and that's why he's that guy.
Yeah, we were wondering when he was going to come on. Jesper Sorensen, obviously mindful, already lost his star in Ryan Gauld, trying to rotate a little bit, but the game was calling out for a Brian White, and he was just getting in those places where, simply put, Daniel Rios wasn't. The game was calling out for White, and guess what? He delivered in the biggest way possible.
Yeah, and I think, this is not to harp on Rios. I mean, we'll focus on the positives.
Yes.
But the difference between the two is one is hungry to go and make a difference, and one is kind of just going through the motions. I think for strikers, the most annoying players to play against are the ones that always believe and they're just buzzing around. Brian White, buzzing noise all the time with him, and that's why he's successful.
Your Gatorade performer of the match, there were a number of candidates. I mean, I really stuck my peg in the ground for Andreas Kubas.
Fair enough.
Because I think that he won so many balls, him and Bearhalter before he came off in the middle of the park. This moment here just exemplifies how smart, how intelligent, the work rate of the player. I just thought he was the most dominant player on the field tonight.
Wheels, and it's hard to argue with that because I feel like if you ask Jesper Sorensen top 2 players, Kubas will be number 1 because of the way that he broke up play, the way that he found passes going forward. But Ocampo, for me, would be number 2.
Yes.
However, this is what was the bread and butter today. Winning the ball high, the press, the work rate, the legs that needed to be used, and the energy that needs to be used to be on the benefactor of this win. So Kubas was the one to lead that. He was in the heart of the midfield, and he was the heart for the day.
I mean, the players deserve all the credit in the world, but you got to give a tip of the cap to the manager here. Sorensen ball, I don't know whatever you want to call it. I don't think it's overly complex, but generally it takes time for a manager to get players playing on the same page, playing together. I just looked at a Whitecaps team tonight. They played for each other, but they were connected no matter where they went. Against a Monterrey side, a bunch of talented individuals who, quite frankly, as a team, put forward a shameful performance tonight. The team won. They beat a team of better individual players, and Sorensen deserves a lot of credit for having them so connected so quickly.
And to tip his hat off again about making the necessary adjustments.
Yes.
Because you mentioned it at halftime as well. We know so many managers that would go into the second half still playing that 5-2-3, and maybe you suffered a little bit defensively and you had pressure. But you look at the second half, just making that little adjustment. Tate Johnson comes out, but you have Ocampo still on the wing playing on the right side, and you have Hunters ready to go. That's what set the tempo for the second half. And again, that's why they're winning this game.
I said at halftime, it's one of 2 changes he had to make. Either bringing Brian White on right away, it didn't happen, but he changed the formation.
And he didn't wait long for Brian White.
No, and it was nothing against Halbuni. Johnson made the mistake, but it was just about changing the formation. Laborda, bringing on an extra midfielder as well. And all of a sudden, the Whitecaps started to play higher up the field. It was in the early stages of the second half that the Vancouver Whitecaps got that goal. They knew that they had to score a goal in this fixture anyways, and they scored the goal through Idir Ocampo. The 21 is being thrust into a much bigger role with Sam Adekubi out through injury, and we should just give him the runner-up for man of the match tonight. And he scored a great goal. Ali Ahmed down that left-hand side, the ball switched, Vite gets it, plays in Ocampo, and just an absolute class finish.
Team finish, it was beautiful. I mean, we'll break it down in a second, but for me, there are so many players we can go through for this Vancouver Whitecaps team that said, this is my moment and I want to go and shine. And they showed it from beginning to end.
What a start to the season it has been for Brian White, a U.S. men's national team call-up. He's already got 4 goals on the season in all competitions, and a post-match interview after the Whitecaps advance in the Concacaf Champions Cup.
It's exciting. Obviously, it was going to be a tough test coming down here and playing a good team with great players, so we're proud of the boys for hunkering down again the result we needed.
What adjustments did you and the team make to ensure a better performance and a better outcome in today's match?
We just stuck to our principles, worked hard on the training field, and tried to execute the plan we had coming into the game.
Thank you very much, and congratulations once again. Dave, you have one more interview?
Short but sweet, that's fine, just like his cameo performance here tonight, which was absolutely meaningful. Let's show the Ocampo goal, but we're going to show some of what Eddie Ocampo did over the course of the night. He was running on fumes by the end of the game. He was impactful playing down that right-hand side, and he ended up scoring a big goal as well for the Caps here tonight.
Yeah, he did, absolutely. I mean, you watch him just throughout the whole match down that right side. There's certain players that it favors playing a wing-back position, And his 1v1 abilities, the way he's able to defend, but just also create space for himself, he was dynamite throughout the match. And I love seeing young players, a 21-year-old, grow in confidence. Like, you start the match, you go down in the first 4 minutes, and maybe you had a part to play with it by being a bit sloppy with your pass, but grew into the match, said, this is my moment. But this is what I like about it. Ali Ahmed comes in, Vite gets it. A lot of players are just not confident at that point.
Love that
Sweet
goal.
strike, Wheels. Look at this. This is the angle to see it at. No prep touch. Bang. Finds the corner, back of the net.
Got over, wasn't sailing over the bar. It's like a textbook finish.
I love
like the form, the technique on that finish is near picture perfect.
We didn't show it, but I love the full breakdown. It starts with Bomer, goes to the midfield, gets Ali Ahmed. I'm screaming shoot, shoot, but he has that composure, Ahmed, to play their chance big. Vite plays it out again. It's a team that looks like they've been playing together for many, many years, but they're new additions that are just fitting in seamlessly.
Monterrey had such a hard time dealing with Ali Ahmed, and he's going to be a clear focus over the next week and change, as he's going to be a big part of the Canada team that have injuries in wide areas. I prefer him on that left-hand side coming in. The final product always wasn't there, but he's so elusive and awkward to mark. Like, Chavez could have been sent off in this game, really.
Yeah.
And what else can you say about Pedro Vite that hasn't been said already? Provides a service on that. There were so many moments, and it's not going to show in the end at the end of the match stats in terms of the expected goals, because the Whitecaps were buzzing and humming in and around the area, just always didn't end up with a shot on target. But the way that he works in tight areas, Jordan, it's phenomenal how he makes space for himself and then brings his teammates into the equation.
I think, too, I don't know how you feel about Ali Ahmed, but when he's running at defenders, I don't think he knows where he's going to go. Like, I think he literally sizes them up and says, oh, I'm just looking for the space. I'm looking for them to bite. And as a former defender, that is the most dangerous thing, where you can go left, you can go right, you can push it around us. Like, he's just that elusive. He's that, like, free. And we heard John Conway just talk about the fact that he's, like, gangly and, like, unorthodox. I feel like that, accompanied with the fact that he just never stops running, is a nightmare for defenders worldwide.
Crazy. Again, they're thin in those areas. And Ahmed, the frustration earlier in the season against Saprissa, and to see where he is now, just a matter of a couple weeks. It's crazy how confidence can just start soaring and really become contagious throughout the Whitecaps side. In the 4th minute of this game, the Whitecaps went down a goal. We said at the time, well, it doesn't really change the context too much because the Whitecaps needed to score an away goal, but maybe a little bit naive by Tate Johnson on the far post, not proper positioning. There's 3 players that have their eye on Bertrame, and Canales, the former Real Madrid player, gets loose on the far post, making it 1-0 early.
Yeah, I alluded to it before, a bit sloppy play on the right side, but Tate Johnson, again, we talk about hips don't lie, and the hips right here, he's just facing his goal, and he should be open to see Canales that's creeping into the box right there. And then just feels like his defender, Blackman, is going to get it and probably clear it. But if you sleep at any moment in the box, you can get burned. He gets burned there. And you see Veselinovic as well, goes straight through his legs. Obviously, he's hard done by. There's nothing you can do. But just those situations for the Whitecaps, it's not the best start. But I like that they clawed their way back into this game. And it's a lesson for Tate Johnson, who I feel like has had a great start to the season. But those are those lessons that you have to take, and you have to take it with a grain of salt.
With so many young players at that moment, I think I said it out loud, but when we were watching, it was like, uh-oh, the Whitecaps could be in trouble.
Yeah.
But that couldn't have been anything further from the truth. The game wasn't settled right to the very end. There was a penalty that came late. Video assistant referee intervened. In fairness, although it's very harsh in terms of the penalty that was given here in this moment, I think they got it right. Veselinovic's arm is stuck in behind him. It's an unnatural position, Jordan, and Sergio Ramos is in behind making that run. Unfortunately, by the letter of the law, I think that has to be given.
Yeah, the letter of the law and what you said, unnatural position, that's what screams to be true. It's the football world right now, right? 10 years ago, we wouldn't even review that, look at it, you just think, oh, it hit the back of him. But now you can actually look, it's hitting your elbow in the box. It's also stopping a goal-scoring opportunity because it could maybe fall to another Monterrey player. But still wasn't enough for a side that should have given more on the night.
Sergio Ramos, 3 goals in 4 games. I didn't think he was very good at all.
No.
I mean, a true legend of the sport. Oftentimes you see this. We see this in Major League Soccer. a very accomplished player coming to a new league late in their career. You know that they have talent, but the mind, it's not on the same page as the body.
Yeah.
The body's just slowed down, and the Whitecaps feasted on him all night, took away his aerial presence on corner kicks and set pieces. That was an area of concern.
Yeah.
I mean, he was second best all night. The Whitecaps ran fits around Monterrey, and I just wonder where they go from here. They're spending a lot of money on former players that used to play in Europe, and they are absolutely under-delivering at this point.
Well, Jesper Sørensen said it when we spoke to him. He said that this is a team, obviously, that has talent, but they're not disciplined. And they're a bunch of individuals. And it struck me when I was listening to him speak. I'm like, you're trying to build a unit and a team. And you know, maybe pound for pound, money for money, Monterrey is greater. But that doesn't matter once you step onto the football pitch. You had one team that has a legend in the game, Sergio Ramos, star ballers, Canales and company. But Vancouver Whitecaps wanted it more and stuck together. And I feel like the better team won because they displayed that from beginning to end.
The better team absolutely advances here. Your All-State saving the match. Like, this is an indictment on Monterrey. I know they're playing in a home away from home. They weren't playing in their home stadium, but they had some possessions, some chances in and around the area, but that was really the best shot on target that they had.
Yeah, they didn't really get to penetrate.
Aside from the goal, right?
Yeah,
that was it.
For sure. So it's something they need to look at.
19 shots, but like Isaac Boehmer, like the backup goalkeeper, and a good young Canadian goalkeeper, we should say that, just wasn't really troubled by those 19 shots. They were high, they were wide, they were like those shot crosses that went into Rosette. Like, it was really poor by Monterrey, but let's not take anything away from the Whitecaps. A night where this will go down in memory for the Whitecaps. We're going to discuss what it means for them going forward in this competition, and maybe what it means for the club in general as we carry on here. Ramos scored, won the battle in the moment, but lost the war. The Whitecaps are moving on. 2-2 on the night, 3-3 on aggregate. The away goals will finally playing in the hands of a Canadian club side in the Concacaf Champions Cup.
Are you having any fun? What you getting out of living? Who cares for what you've got if you're not having any fun? Are you having any laugh? Are you getting any loving? If other people do, why can't you have a little fun? And have a little fun.
Canadian soccer fans, we're different. We cheer on the Reds while cheering out our motherlands and each other's lands. Soccer is in our hearts. Our roots are on display. Not to divide, but to unite. Because to us, soccer's more than just a game. It's who we are. From coast to coast to coast, it connects us all. Cheers to us. Cheers to the game.
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of paint.
It says here you could try mayonnaise.
WestJet, where your story takes off.
For generations, we've put more goodness in so you get a whole lot more out of every single delicious egg. A lot goes into a little at Burnbrae Farms.
Do we really have any choice at all?
Everyone has a choice, and every choice has a consequence.
Which do you choose?
Life's full of tough choices, isn't it?
How do you choose?
Champions Cup. Round of 16. América. Mexico's biggest rivalry. Leo Messi! Siempre Messi! Liquid football! Are you ready?
The mighty Vancouver Whitecaps are moving on to the quarterfinal of the Concacaf Champions Cup. They will face the winner of Pumas and Alajuelense. That tie, the second leg, goes tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Pumas has a 2-0 lead on aggregate. We saw Pumas because they were the side that survived against Cavalry of the Canadian Premier League. Survived. Didn't have too much of a growl against Cavalry. Looking a little bit better in this phase, but Pumas are 11th in the Clausura Liga MX table. They're struggling. They're certainly not as talented as Monterrey. This is a preferential draw for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Got good vibes coming to their MLS play, 3 wins from 3. You start thinking, well, how far can the Whitecaps go here in the Concacaf Champions Cup?
I think they're salivating and say, bring on Pumas. Bring them on. Bring them on, because they didn't expect to be at this point. I know every time you go into a competition, every time you go into a game, you think anything could happen. But to be in this position right now in the quarterfinals, potentially probably playing Pumas, they're chomping at the bit, knowing that they can actually make it to a semifinal in this tournament.
Again, the health of Gauld and Atakubi, that will be a big factor. It looks like Jaden Nelson is just about ready to return as well. The fixture congestion is going to be a thing. The next round of the competition plays out the week of April 1st. So catch your breath and then move things forward. What I hope is that the city rally around this team in this competition. We've seen it in Montreal in the past. We've seen it in Toronto with CONCACAF Champions League runs at that time. I don't think that Vancouver has ultimately embraced this competition. They haven't been a regular participant in it. But games like this matter. Like, this is a big international competition. Champions League, whether it be in Europe, in Asia, like, these competitions matter. It's something special. You work hard to get into this competition and take advantage of the reward. And the way that they're playing right now, let this ride continue as long as it can.
Ride the wave. I understand the MLS season is going to be a priority. I understand that Jesper Sørensen, and he admitted, is not really used to the travel and playing certain games and certain tournaments. But think about your season. If you can go to a semifinal, if you can push to a final, if you can even win this tournament, it's already a success. Like, then you have a Canadian championship, then you have an MLS, and you probably think that this Vancouver Whitecaps team remains healthy, are going to make the playoffs. That's a heck of a season for Vancouver Whitecaps. Go and push for it. Now's not the time to go and play players at the last 20 minutes. Actually go out and try to win this tournament.
And in MLS, like the regular season, there's very little stakes, right? Like, 2/3 of the teams make the playoffs. Unless you're going to go out and win the Supporters' Shield, like, go out and win this tournament. Like, that's what's been special about their Canadian Championship run, where they've won the last 3 of those, and they're going for a 4-peat. Will be favorites to go do that this year as well. These cup competitions give you a chance to really accomplish something and add to that trophy case. So, especially at a time of uncertainty off the field, man, what we are certain of, Jordan, is like, this team's legit on the field. Make a couple other depth additions. They're going to be humming along nicely.
I like it, man. There's a lot to like about the Whitecaps, absolutely.
I did not think that they would have advanced tonight. Nope. I thought that we would be telling a different story, but I'm thrilled that this journey goes on. And we're going to be there every step of the way right here on One Soccer.
You know it.
Sit down, Ramos. Later, Canales. The Whitecaps are moving on. 2-2 on the night. Brian White with the biggest goal of them all. And they're advancing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Good night, Canada.
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of paint.
It says here you could try mayonnaise.
WestJet, where your story takes off.
Canadian Championship carrying on. Pass it into the box.
chance, but Josh Hurd has found the opening goal. Aguero Diaz, 62nd minute, breaks the deadlock.
Cordova sends a clear ball in, and has opened the scoring.
It's a collector's item. And the Wanderers lead by 2 goals to 1.
The match's opening goal, Diogo Resurrecel.
Well, the two sets of teams exchange pleasantries here in Mexico City, moments away from kickoff. Concacaf Champions Cup round of 16, second leg. Cruz Azul against the Seattle Sounders. Again, Sean St. Jacques, our entire crew, pleasure to be with you tonight. 0-0 on aggregate. It is very much in the balance with a place in the Champions Cup quarterfinals going to the winner at the end of the night. Well, Vicente Sanchez was up until not too long ago the interim coach for Cruz Azul. He, of course, is now the main man in charge. He's got a pretty strong starting 11, no questions about that here tonight. Four at the back by Gonzalo Piovi. In that midfield, Carlos Rodriguez, Eric Lira, and Ignacio Rivero, the captain, all very key tonight. But of course, two big names up top. Former LAFC man Mateusz Bogusz leads the line, and Angel Sepulveda, who's always a danger man in the attacking third, is alongside him.